Sam and I recently attended a Black Lawyers Conference called Chartering Your Own Course, or CYOC for short. While we were there, we asked a few attorneys what's one piece of advice that you would give a 1L. Here's what they said. What piece of advice would you give to a 1L?
Definitely prioritize law school and recognize that it's professional school. It's not undergrad, so it's a completely different set of learning. It's an environment where you really have to fully immerse yourself in the experience to be able to be successful, just because the first year of law school really will set you up for the remainder of your law school experience. So prioritize it, focus on it like it's a job, essentially, because the time that you put into it, you will be able to reap from it if you actually put the time into it.
Yeah. What piece of advice would you give to a 1L?
I would say focus on the quality of your studying versus the quantity. So don't think that studying for 8-10 hours a night is what's going to get you to A. It's really focusing on what your professor wants and what he expects you to take away from the assignments.
Okay, thank you. What's one piece of advice you would give to a 1L?
Stay on your own path. It's easy to get caught up in how smart your classmates are, the things that they're doing in their community, the way that they're making impact. But I think if you figure out ways you can do that on your own and feel comfortable in that space, feel confident in what it is that you're doing, and keeping your own light at the end of the tunnel, I think you'll find your experience will go a lot smoother than what it would if you compare yourself to others.
Thank you. What piece of advice would you give to a 1L?
It's a new environment. Ask questions. It can be overwhelming, but your first year, your 1L, no one is judging you. So ask the questions. If you're not clear, talk to your professors, talk to the assistant, let them know you're not getting this and get more information and use your resources.
What advice would you give to a 1L?
Don't let anyone tell you you can't have fun. Like, obviously, study hard, work hard. Grades are the most important thing of 1L year, but don't forget to have fun. You were having fun before law school, you will have fun after law school. So find some time to have fun during 1L year. It's possible, and it's a good form of self-care.
What advice would you give a first year?
People just throw different strategies at you, and I think it makes sense to try different things, but do it from the mindset of what's going to work best for me. I found like the most successful students were able to do so. I spoke with this one young lady and she's like, oh, one day I saw somebody like taking notes on their laptop, and I was like, maybe this will work for me. And she tried it and it didn't work for her. She had to write all her notes, and I was like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, it worked for her.
But it worked for her. And I think that even if you decide to go the route of studying with other people, it may not necessarily work for you, and that's okay. I know people who need to sit down there, read through everything first. Fundamentally, it's about knowing how you learn best and what your goals are and taking whatever steps that align best with that.
What piece of advice would y'all give to a 1L?
Build relationships with your classmates. You never know who's going to be who. Just be as friendly as possible. Help, be a resource, because this is a relationship industry.
Yeah, you took mine. So I was going to say LinkedIn and Facebook, everybody. But on top of that, use your position as a student as an advantage. So when you're a student, the willingness of people to share information with you is immense. And you can ask your future competitors or employers questions that they would never answer if you were actually working for them or against them. But then also do the survey of those professionals in the sense that try to learn about what a day in their life is. And I think if you hear 100 different people's versions of what a day in a life is, you'll realize I really don't want that day in that life. Those days sound really interesting. How am I spending my time? Am I on the phone? Am I researching? Am I out and about? And what gives me energy and joy? And what don't I like about my job? I came in and I wanted to be a trial lawyer. I'm not that. But it's as a product of many, many conversations. You got to have those, and you got to have them early and often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. What advice would you give to a 1L?
I would say trust your journey and trust the race, and try not to compare yourself to other people. Your first year is pretty tough, but I feel like if you just push through and trust that your process will unfold how you want it to, it'll all work out for you. And, just run your race.
Perfect. Thank you so much. What advice would you give to a 1L?
My advice, actually I have a few things. Become your own advocate. Like, you have to speak up. No one's going to just assume that you're struggling or that you need help. You have to speak up for yourself, especially as a woman of color in this space. It's not that many of us. And then my second piece of advice as a 1L, learn as much as you can about personal finance. Start now, especially if you're going into, regardless of what you're going into. But I'm the first lawyer in my family. I'm in corporate law right now, and it was definitely a jump in pay that I was not used to. And so it was just like, how do I manage this money? Make sure that I am taking advantage of this windfall while I have it, because, you know, sometimes this life isn't sustainable. So you don't know what's going to happen next. So definitely like personal finance and advocating for yourself. So a lot of times, especially as Black women, we're our biggest critics. Lifting yourself up in love and giving yourself grace to make mistakes and get back up again.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Find your strategizers instead of your naysayers. People come with an idea, and the advice you might get from some career service people or some other folks who's just like, well, like, I don't think you can do this because your grades, or well, I don't think you can do that because like the market is not this. Versus the people who are actually helpful were like, I get it. Have you considered this because this sounds similar and maybe you go in this direction? Or, okay, you want to go to X, guess what? That route isn't so direct. You might have to zigzag, but this is how you navigate it, versus somebody like just trying to take you like, are you really interested in that? Like, I don't think you should be interested in this. It was like, no, you can stand in that, and also it's okay if that changes over time, but whatever it is, it should be a very individualized journey. I think far too often, it's very easy to get caught up with, like, I'm in my section, I'm in my pack, I'm in this, we're all at the same law school, like everybody's kind of getting the same advice. It really should be an individualized journey in every way. So find out what works for you. Somebody's, desire for a career isn't going to be yours, and that is okay. Invest the time to figure out, like, well, what is it that I actually like and might consider liking, and go with that, even if it's uncommon, even if it's unpopular. Make it your own, and you will be much happier.
Yes. What piece of advice would you give to a 1L?
Well, I was an evening student, so I worked during the day and went to class at night. And where I found a lot of value in my 1L year was just finding a community of people that I could really work with. And we just had shared, I won't say trauma because it wasn't trauma, but we just had shared experiences because we were working all day but studying all night and on the weekends. But it was really good to have just a core group of like 6 to 7 people that you can work with, run ideas off of, and kind of just have a safe space, because law school is already super competitive. So just having some people that you can lean on that are in that experience with you is invaluable.
Perfect. Thank you. So what advice would you give to a 1L?
Even if you don't make the best grades that first semester, first year, there's still opportunities out there. You can still get a good job. You can still you just have to, put yourself out there, send emails to potential employers, potential firms, and use the talents and the gifts that you have. You're not predicated on your grades alone. You're bigger than that. And you can still make the good grades once you learn the process. It's a process to learn how to do law school, and sometimes it takes longer than a semester or longer than a year, but you're going to be fine. That's what I would say.
Oh, thank you. What's one piece of advice you would both give to a 1L? I'll start with you.
Get off campus. I know it's nice to be on campus and you make friends, and everything that law school has to give is amazing, but also getting away and kind of centering yourself and reminding of the bigger picture, I think, is really helpful.
Yeah, very true. What about you?
Mine would be maximize all law school has to offer you, and that doesn't always mean academically. Study abroad if you can. Take a course that's not in the law school that maybe your law school's undergrad offers. It probably doesn't contribute to your degree, but it's going to be fun, or it's an area of interest that you are interested in your undergrad or in your professional career. So take the art class, take the music class, take it as lightly as you can.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you.